Hello and welcome to today's episode of the LYHL Podcast. Today, it's just me, the host, Elle Bottrell, and I wanted to give you an update. This is a fall 2024 update. I realized clearly I know that things have gone on in my life since I launched the podcast in fall of 2021. In that time, I believe at the time of this recording, I have 12 episodes out, and three of those have come this fall. And that's because shortly after launching this podcast, my life just really changed. And one of the big things, and I was listening to some old, as I get reintroduced, and I went back to some old episodes, and I'm referencing my husband. I do not have a husband any longer. That was a big part of my life for about a decade and a half. And shortly after starting this podcast, we separated and eventually divorced. I've now been in a different relationship, and I'll get more into that later. But I just want to update you on some of these things as I move forward. So if you're new to this podcast, and many are, because many relationships in my life have changed very significantly from 2021. Okay, that was some time ago, and life goes on, and we learn and we grow and we evolve. So I just wanted to bring you up to date. Some of you have been through this journey with me, and so you know much of what's going on, but also, even if you've been with me for a long time, much of this still might be new, or you've been left to kind of speculate about what's going on and kind of filling in the gaps. I meant to start right off the top of the episode by just saying thank you for being here. So just pretend like I started at the very beginning and said, thank you for being here. I'm so grateful. It's been such a joy to resume these podcasts, and I love the conversations that I have with people. They are so enriching for me and provide so much positivity for me. And I hope that you, as the listener, are getting some fraction of that positivity. This fall, 2024, another big change. I had been teaching at a very large institution, teaching physical therapy to graduate students, a doctoral program. And this is, a high-level program that had ranked number one for many years. And I had been doing that for over a decade. And I still am technically teaching there at the time of this recording. However, I've drastically reduced it, where I used to teach half-time or 3 days a week. Um, it's very drastically different. And I've done that in large part to give space for things like the LYHL podcast. And so I'm so happy to have this energy, and I hope that that it translates, and that it's giving you some sort of gift as well. So again, thank you for being here. So I've been a physical therapist for a very long time, coming on 2 decades, which is really wild. And that's really been such a basis for my identity as a physical therapist, and partnering with people and working with people and helping them live healthier lives. I'm going to take a little sippy-a-roo, a decaf mushroom coffee latte, oat milk. Yeah. Um, yeah, I've been a physical therapist for a long time, but the seasons are changing, and I've known for some period of time, 5 years or more, like, oh, I'm a healer. And physical therapist has been my lane. Physical therapy has been my lane. But that's taken a lot of my life, because I've been in clinical practice, having my own business, practicing for 20 years, and then teaching. So teaching for over a decade. So just lots of physical therapy. But I realized that really I'm a healer, and there's so much that I'm interested in, I think, capacity that I have that transcends the bounds of physical therapy. And some of it is actually within the bounds of physical therapy. And patients and now clients of mine have uh, benefited and even noticed, observed this change. And they'll even say things like, oh, this feels like therapy. when maybe they're expecting to come in and have it. And it depends on people's understanding of physical therapy. Some people will expect to come in and have like a good workout and get exercises and to do and learn activities to avoid and um, kind of learn why they're there, what's been problematic for them, whether it's pain or weak or discoordination or tingling or whatever kind of sensation they're having. This is going way more into physical therapy than I thought I would go. Um, but really, to help somebody heal, I have to know the person. I have to see their beliefs and I have to have a good read of their personality. I have to have a understanding of the environment that they live in, the people that are around them, what's kind of normative and what's expected. And that needs to come into into the plan. And so we have conversations about this, about fears and emotions and behaviors and things like this that people might think are peripheral, but it's really, really important to well-being. And so that knowledge, I've realized, like, whoa. So I am now uh, putting that energy into health coaching and still helping people. I have tons of expertise within the movement realm. So, focusing on movement coaching to help people move really healthily and get around and do the things that they really enjoy. But also just this integration to live your healthiest life is really needs to be value based. So you need to know what and this is like deep, not superficially, because your values um, won't be really won't be really satisfactory if they're superficial or if they're handed to you by other people or if they're something you're doing to fit in or try to earn belonging versus knowing uh, this is what my kind of soul wants or my spirit or this is um, and this will be a bit of the nature of things that we talk about, but I've come to see myself as a coach and a cheerleader and a guide, and my understanding of people just has really matured over these 2 decades as a physical therapist. My ability to be a better listener and to read people and to see and know more about moods and cultures and archetypes has really helped. And I'm really excited to explore this next season of life. So values driven life, that'll be something that's really important that we'll talk a lot about in the LYHL podcast. So I'm hoping to give more energy. You should be here if you were here since the beginning. You should be seeing me, hearing from me a lot more regularly. So yeah, there's a video of this on YouTube if you're interested, or of course you can always just have it accompanying you on a drive or a walk or whatever you want to do, laying down just in your standard kind of podcast kind of way. So yeah, more energy, healer, health coach, divorced, something I never thought I would be. I never thought I'd be divorced, but it turned out to be something that I needed to do, separate from my husband in order to live my healthiest life as people change, or even changing can just help you change your perspective of things and see where things are healthy and not, and then give you the strength to even make the decisions that you need to move to a healthier place. And so I've been in a relationship now, though, for a new relationship for we just celebrated 2 years. She is wonderful. I hope to have her on the podcast at some point. We're engaged, so she's my fiancée. So I'm in a queer relationship. Um, I think I went out of order a little bit here chronologically. I also published a book that I'd been working on since right before the pandemic started. So, like winter 2019, finally published that in the summer of 2022. And I told myself I'd have the full title up here. And I don't. It's called, if you want to access it, you need to go through my website to reach it because it's available on, unfortunately, only on Amazon. I just had to do what I could do to get it out. But this is a book all about where I explore, I name and then explore judgments that I have. And I explore like the roots of these judgments, and I decide, do I want to continue in life with these judgments? And so it's very vulnerable work. And honestly, um, uh, because it's so vulnerable, it's been really hard to get behind. So I'm planning to have a reread of it very soon and decide what to do with it, really to kind of get behind it again and tell the world a little bit about it. Or, yeah, it came out just as we were really in those early stages of separation, my ex husband and I. And I'm really proud of it and the work. It still feels personal and vulnerable, although I've changed so much since then. But yeah, it covers topics like divorce, which would have been, taboo for me to even consider. It talks about being gay. It talks about masturbation. It talks about uh, kind of monotheism. Is there only one way to God, or are there many ways to God? Oh, I talk about so many things because there's, I think over 20 topics that I explored, but there's some big ones there that I just listed, things that people really don't like to talk about. And so going through the divorce process, transitioning in such an important relationship, such a fundamental relationship, um, was really um, so much. And it's just a life transition, but it's a life transition that um, our society, our culture is very not good at supporting people in. And it took me some time. It was, almost a year and a half into the process, but I did do brave things like putting out about having what are they called? A registry, a divorce registry. You know that it's like you divide half of your stuff, and then it's like, oh, and then people just like kind of think you're okay. Like people, like we just as a culture just really get together about happy things, but we really struggle to get together around people that around times that are challenging, whether it's death or illness or separations in relationships. And really I just learned like this process would have been so much easier with more support. And all this has led to kind of into my next project, which I'll be working on, which is titled Becoming Divergent. And it's really, as I'm going through life, I'm just, nobody seeks to do this, but I'm finding myself more marginalized. Being the divorced lady, uh, being queer, uh, feminism is even marginalizing. We still live in a very patriarchal, misogynistic society, and then to work against that can push you to the outside in many ways. In the process of my separation, uh, encountered that maybe I was neurodivergent and did follow through with that in the past year. Uh, Seeing my first professional regarding that, and found I do have properties of um, ADHD as well as autism, and it explains a lot. And um, that's always been with me, but exploring that, oh, this is who I am. So, like, less need to try to fit in. So, I don't know, man. Life is, I don't find life very boring. I know some people get bored. I'm not one of those people. Transition is always something that it's always an opportunity to learn a lot from. Suffering is always an opportunity to learn a lot from. And I have done so much growing and I have so much better capacity just to be myself and kind of learn what I love and um, what I love, and take brave steps into, well, what does that look like? We can talk about this another time, but Like I just took my first clown school class. Like, I don't know, what am I doing? But I've heard really good things about it. And so I'm stretching myself, and why not? Like, I think so much of life has taught us to conform in this community. So I'm in this next phase of my life, I'm very, very interested in building community for people that are interested in living their healthiest life. So that's LYHL. LYHL is this acronym, Live Your Healthiest Life. That's been with me for a long time. I know it's my passion, but there's these emerging things. And so I have a newsletter. Probably, I think you can get there through show notes, but going to my website, theellebottrell.com, you can sign up for the newsletter. It's very aptly named, called the Not Lyle newsletter. By creating a community there where we're sharing, exploring topics. Art is essential to healthy living, play is essential to that. And so those are included in there, beauty. So that's a nice adjunct to what we're doing here in the podcast. If it interests you and you want more and are looking for connections, and we'll figure out and explore more and more how to make that an interactive place. But you can get stuff coming into your newsletter, into your email inbox. You don't even have to go on the socials or go searching. It'll come in, and yeah, gosh, just thank you. Thank you for being here. Um, Life is mystery, life is miracle. I hope that you always see the blessing. May you always see the blessing. Until next time, be well. Thanks for listening to this episode of the LYHL Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. If you liked what you heard, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at the Elle Bottrell, as well as on my website, www.theellebottrell.com. Of course, you can find me back here at the next episode of the LYHL Podcast. There's numerous ways to support my work so I can keep helping you live your healthiest life. You can do this financially via links on my website or the show notes, by subscribing to the podcast and YouTube channels, by joining my newsletter community, aptly named the LYHL newsletter, by rating the podcast, by sharing with others, those you meet, and participating in coaching sessions. It's my passion to help you live your healthiest life. I'm so glad you're here. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what you're learning and the insights you're gaining from these conversations. May you always see the blessing.